Welcome to the Planet Pearl video tutorial, part 2 of double knitting. So as you see here, I have done a little swatch where you can see the main side color and the contrast color. And now we're going to work a little charted pattern. So as you can see, we have the plain color on the top and bottom. And then on the row we're on now, row 7 and 8, we're going to have these little swatches of color, and then we'll start a design. So remember, we're going to read from right to left on the odd numbered rows. And on this one, we're going to read, other than the first and last stitch, it's going to all be contrast color stitches. So remember, we don't think in terms of right and wrong side, we're going to think contrast color. So we'll knit the first two together, or the first two strands together with both strands, since we're working on what we're calling our right side. And then we're going to work 8 stitches in the contrast color. So the side you're going to show will always be the knit stitch. So a contrast to the red background color here is yellow. So we're going to knit with the yellow and just do the opposite for the second half of the stitch. So in this case, it would be purl with red. And both of these stitches together are one block. So now we finished 2 blocks of our chart, the stitch together, and then the contrast color stitch. The first contrast color stitch with the little box there. So the next one also a contrast color stitch. So we'll knit with the contrast color, contrast to our background. So we'll knit again with the yellow. Let me untwist myself here. So knit with the yellow and purl with the red. And we'll go block by block across the chart with either a contrast or a background colored stitch. We get all the way to the end of that row. Since we're on the red side, or the right side as we're calling it, we're going to knit that last two loops together with 2 strands of yarn. So now you see this lovely red side. And you can see there that that's going to be a yellow knit stitch. It's going to show on the right side, and the red stitch will be on the purl or on the back side. So we're going to turn our work around, and we're going to work from left to right on the even number or wrong side row. So our background color here is yellow, so our contrast color will be red. So again, we have essentially the same design working on the opposite side. So we're on the yellow side, so we're going to purl the first and last stitches. Bring that yarn back. And now we're going to look at our chart, and we're going to knit a contrast stitch. So the contrast to our background color here, yellow, is red. So we're going to knit with the red and purl with the yellow. Those will be contrast stitches on the yellow side of the fabric. We'll just work our way across. Our next block or pair of stitches, also a contrast. So we're going to knit with the red and purl with the yellow, doing just the opposite for the second stitch. So don't even really think about the second stitch. It's just the opposite of whatever you did for the main stitch. So let's take a look at our next block, also contrast. So we'll knit with the red and purl with the yellow. And we're going to do that all the way across, as you see. And this is how we do a charted design. So we go to the next row, and we're going to do contrast and background color stitches on this row. All right, so as we work this mixed row on the chart, so we're going to, of course, knit that first pair of loops together to give us our edge. And then the next stitch in is a contrast stitch. So contrast to the red is our yellow. So we'll knit with the yellow and purl with the red. All right, so we have 2 pairs of stitches taken care of now. 1, 2. So we go to the third block, and here we have a background color stitch. Red, of course, the background. So we're going to knit with the red and purl with the yellow. So we're now 3 blocks in on our chart. 1, 2, 3. Our next stitch is going to be a contrast color stitch. Contrast to the red is the yellow. So we'll knit the yellow and purl the red. Or try to purl the red. Making sure we give a little tug and tension that yarn as we pull it back. So now we're going in 1 more block, and we have actually the next 3 will be contrast color stitches. And on the red side, the contrast color is yellow. So for these 3 stitches, we're going to knit with the yellow and purl with the red. So just always think in terms of background and contrast when you work a chart. It'll keep you from making yourself a little crazy. Or in my case, crazier. All right, so here we are. We have our 4 contrast color pairs that lead with the yellow, the knit stitch. And then we have 1 background color stitch, which will be red, so we knit the red. And purl the yellow. And then we have 1 contrast color stitch. So we'll knit the yellow, the contrast color, on this side, purl the red, and then since we're on the red side, which we've decided is the right side, we'll knit this last stitch with both of the strands together. And that completes that row. So join us for part 3 and come visit us at planetpurl.com.